Josh Friedman here on a chilly September evening in Sarajevo, Bosnia. I am at a meeting place of cultures, or at least that's what it says on the ground. If you take a look, I'm right here in Starigrad, the old town of Sarajevo, and we've got a little bit of a compass. Pointing east is old Ottoman Sarajevo. Sarajevo was controlled by the Ottoman Empire for about 500 years, and this building, if you can see behind me, was and is a bazaar. It's where merchants would come, spend the night, and trade goods at a western front of the Ottoman Empire. Now looking west, and the city is built out from east to west, this is a more modern European promenade. And it's built in Austro-Hungarian style. It may even resemble Vienna a bit. That's because in the 19th century, the Austro-Hungarian Empire took over Sarajevo and Bosnia. Now, Sarajevo used to have the designation, or to some people it still does, the designation of being the European Jerusalem, or the Jerusalem of Europe. And that was not because it was where two empires met, but it was because of the ethnic and specifically religious diversity within the town. It was known as the city that had the most mixed marriages in Europe, and right here in this old neighborhood, you've got behind me old mosques, even going back as long as 500 years, that one's been there. And you've got in this direction, right nearby, an old Orthodox church. And behind us, down the promenade at the end of the street, there is a Catholic church. And you've even got a synagogue right around the corner too. Sarajevo was supposed to be the multicultural city. And at the beginning of the Bosnian War, when Yugoslavia was breaking up, it had an ethnic breakdown, something along the lines of 45% Muslim, 32% Serb, and about 17% Croat. That has changed dramatically in the aftermath of the war, and you could say that multiculturalism all came crumbling down as the nationalist sentiments rose in the 80s and into the beginning of the 90s when Yugoslavia broke up. Now I'm thinking that because of the times, this multiculturalism really relates to what might be going on in Europe now, and maybe there are some lessons. And I'm going to invite Nika, who's behind the camera right now, to have a little discussion about what might be the takeaway from the crumbling of the Jerusalem of Europe, of the multicultural city that ended up being under siege for almost 4 years and ended up being the focal point of the Bosnian War that killed about 100,000 people. Okay, so I'm going to grab the camera. You may stand.
Okay.
You may stand on the western, the western side. At least I will be facing west. And I mentioned how the city of Sarajevo was known as the Jerusalem of Europe, known as the multicultural city, but nowadays it is really known as the city that was under siege, and that was the longest lasting siege in modern warfare. And for the past couple days, we've been drawing some parallels to what's going on in Europe right now. And what exactly were we talking about?
Well, apparently Germany is becoming the new Jerusalem of Europe by the looks of it. Germany has been the only country which has been focusing on their cultural diversity and wanted multicultural diversity in their country. And the increase of refugee crisis has allowed them to open up their borders for refugees to pile in. Not just one, not just thousands, but 800,000 of them by end of this year. So by the looks of it, Germany is soon going to be a multicultural, diverse society. But by the looks of it, is soon also going to be a society which is controlled by the refugees who entered their country, as now they have been starting to accommodate new rules and regulations, fearing the attack from the most conservative Muslim society coming from Syria, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Eritrea, Somalia, and those countries. Well, Syria has been known for its conservative Muslim culture and beliefs, accommodating 800,000 Syrians at once in a country where has been living with an open-mindedness and has been living in a European culture society is questionable. As I would like to ask you, Joshua, what do you think? Do you think Germany would be able to integrate them, the 800,000 refugees at once, immediately, without causing a commotion in Germany?
My thoughts are there are a lot of takeaways from the breakup of Yugoslavia. Things were going quite well, you could say. Now, a lot of people considered Tito a dictator, but for the 30 plus years, 40 excuse me, or so, following World War II, many people considered that things were going quite well in Yugoslavia. But the economy took a turn for the worse in the 80s. Debt came due, and there were different factions and different republics within Yugoslavia that were doing better or worse than one another. And nationalist sentiments rose as some felt like they were pulling more weight than others. Some republics and people thought that others needed to be pulling more weight, that the public trough wasn't being distributed properly or equitably, and things are going very well in Germany right now. You could say they're going pretty well. Europe has had some rough times as of late, but Germany's been the economic leader. And I raised the question, what might happen if things start to crumble a little bit economically in Germany and Europe altogether? And if there's a lot of welfare being handed out, if the public trough is expanding, are people going to question whether different ethnicities or races?
Well, that question has already started. There are Germans who accept the multiculturalism with welcome refugees sign everywhere. And that's a good part of Germans that shows their kind nature. But at the same time, there have been questions among Germans themselves about the population of migrants taking opportunities which local Germans deserve. Low-paying jobs which are paid even lesser towards Turkish migrants and other migrants compared to those German people who deserves a job. So job opportunities are scarce, especially low-paying jobs, starting pay jobs, beginner jobs are scarce. So when migrants pop in, industries would prefer to hire cheap labor more than giving their own people jobs which they have to pay a minimum wage of a certain amount. So the question has been arising, and there has been commotions in Germany itself among the right party politics and among the Islamophobia and the neo-Nazi people, where they question what it has to become of Germany when there are too much population of migrants compared to Germans themselves. And if you notice, Yugoslavia has been a multicultural center, and Bosnia, Sarajevo itself is known to be Jerusalem of Europe because of its multiculturalism. But after the war, Bosnia itself has taken two diverse sectors, the Republic of Srpska and the Federation of Bosnia, where the Republic of Srpska consists of Serbians, while Sarajevo, the Federation of Bosnia, consists of majority Muslims. Serbs here prefer to study in Banja Luka than going to university here. Although Bosnians prefer not to talk about it, but this problem still does exist, and it should be acknowledged. The racial combat, the ethnicity combat within them is still strong, and it is noticeable when you transit from a Serbian populated community into a Muslim populated community. So what is your take on that, Joshua?
Indeed, we're 20 years, we have practically reached 20 years since the conclusion of the Bosnian War, and 20 years marking Bosnia as a country as it has been set up under the Dayton Agreement. And there have been questions whether it's going to last. When we were in Banja Luka, we discussed Milorad Dodik, who you could definitely say is a nationalist type leader, and he's threatened secession, and many people, whether they even support it or not, in Banja Luka are willing to say that if there was a referendum, Banja Luka might very well secede. So multiculturalism has not returned here. It's gone in the opposite direction. Since the Bosnian War, you can argue that it's become even less of a multicultural society. Now, some people here will still stake to the claim that this is the European Jerusalem, but you could also argue that Bosnia is a failed case of multiculturalism. Exactly. I'm not here to side with one or the other, but we are here to raise the question about what does multiculturalism have in store for Europe, and what can we take away from the breakup of Yugoslavia?
Exactly. So right now, the flooding of immigrants could be a good thing, or could be another Yugoslavia in the near future. So we are headed to our next destination, Srebrenica, to find out more about the war here and find out more about the cultural diversity in Bosnia. So stay tuned till the next video.